Hey everybody, we just finished 10.8 part 1 last week, and this 10.8 part 2 is, can you believe it? I think this might be the last new content that we're going to be going over, and it's still dealing with this whole sine, cosine, tangent thing, but I think you're going to like it because we're finally going to get to solve some stuff. So this, if you want to label on the top, it's 10.8 part 2. Typically done in one lesson with part 1 on one day. So we're really breaking it down for you guys, hopefully doing a nice job for you. So here's your hint. If you need to find a missing side of a right triangle, you need to have one side given to you, and you need to have one angle given to you. So you need one side and one angle given to you. You are going to figure out what side you have and what side you need. Then you will use sine, cosine, or tangent based on opposite, hypotenuse, and adjacent. There are different types of problems that you can have. There are problems where they give you pictures, and then problems where they give you just words. And I personally just find the words easier. So what we're gonna do in picture problems, I tell my students, put a dot on your angle that they give you. So you see how right here they gave us 48? That's my angle I'm referencing. I'm not referencing this angle. I'm not referencing my 90-degree angle. I'm referencing my 48. That's the angle they gave me. Now, if you wanted to, I guess you could do 180 minus 90 minus 48 and get that one, but it's not worth your time. All right, let's dive in. So if this is the angle I'm referencing, what is this side? I know you're like, Miss Lindelia, it's 14. I guess what I mean, is it the opposite? Is it the hypotenuse, or is it the adjacent to 48? So this is the hypotenuse. Hopefully you can see it's across from the 90 degree, it's the longest side. So let's talk about this x that they want us to solve for. Is this x, it can't be hypotenuse, is this x opposite of 48 or adjacent to 48? Well, hopefully you can say that it's opposite of 48 because it is far away, not touching the 48 angle. So sine, cosine, tangent, let's go up here, let's write so, ka, toa. What do you guys think we're going to use since we have opposite and hypotenuse? Hopefully you're going to use sine because that's the one with the O and the H. So I'm going to say sine of my angle. On the other, from last week, we didn't know our angles, did we? We had letters there. But now I know that it's 48. And that is going to equal the opposite, because it's always opposite over hypotenuse for sine. So x over 14. Now, let's solve this. I don't like that 14. X is being divided by 14. So the opposite of dividing by 14 is multiplying the right side by 14 and the left side by 14, so that we just solve for x, because these 14s will cancel. And what's so nice about your calculator, you can just type 14 times sine of 48. Boom, you're done. So that's 10.4040. And that's all there is to it. You now solve for this side. And 10 makes sense because if this is 14, then it should be a little bit smaller than it. Let's go to the next one. So they give me this angle. What is x? I always try to find the hypotenuse when I can. X is the hypotenuse. So what is 1.575? Well, is it opposite or is it adjacent? It is adjacent. So I'm going to look up here. What should I use? Sine, because I have opposite and hypotenuse? Should I use cosine because I have adjacent and hypotenuse? Or should I use tangent since I have opposite and adjacent? Well, I have A and H, which tells me I need cosine because A over H. So I'm going to write cosine of my degree of 35 equals my ratio, put A on the top, look at where I'm pointing, put A on the top, put H on the bottom. So put 1.575 on the top, put X on the bottom. When X is on the bottom, we have to multiply by it, just like we did in the last problem. Do not do this. Don't do X cosine of 35. That would be very bad, because trust me, the answer is not 0. Rewrite it. When X is on the bottom, the problem has a little extra step. So we have X cosine of 35 equals 1.575. Now, how do I get rid of this cosine? I divide each side by cosine 35. So cosine 35 goes away. Cosine 35 goes in your calculator. So I get X equals, see how my X comes down? Type this in your calculator. Ready? So I'm going to type 1.575 divided by cosine of 35. 1.9227 is my missing side. And it makes sense, since that's the hypotenuse, it should be a little longer than that side. All right, so if X is on the bottom, it's a 2-step problem. If X is on the top, it's a 1-step problem. Now, not very often is it that word problems are easier than like picture problems. So I want to show you why I think word problems are easier, because it says what sides you have. So if you have the adjacent, that's pretty much telling you, right? Like you have A. And they say the adjacent is 4. So I'm just going to write a little 4 there. How long is the side opposite? So they want you to find opposite. We don't know it, so I'll call it X. It's the side we don't know. So we have adjacent and opposite. So if we have adjacent and opposite, that tells me to use tangent. So I'm going to do tangent of 39 degrees equals my ratio up here, or I guess I could write my ratio here. It's like this, right? It's O over A, TOA. So I put my O, my opposite, on the top, which is unknown. Put your adjacent on the bottom. And now, see that 4? Multiply both sides by 4. Do you think this is a 1-step or a 2-step problem? It's a 1-step problem because X is not on the bottom. So 4 times tangent of 39 is 3.2391 equals X. And that's all there is to it, because these 4's cancel out. Hypotenuse. Ooh, so hypotenuse is an H, and it's 10. The problem says it's 10. How long is the side adjacent? So adjacent is what I'm missing. I don't know it, so I'll call it X. You can call it A for all I care. And there's my 65 degrees. So which of these 3 items up here should I use, since I have an A and an H? That's cosine. So we're going to do cosine of 65 degrees equals, now SOHCAHTOA says to put A on the top and H on the bottom. So that would be X on the top and 10 on the bottom. Multiply both sides by 10. Do you think this is a 1-step or a 2-step problem? This is a 1-step problem because X is on the top. So it's 10 times cosine of 65. 4.2262 when you round. 4.2262 when you round. Perfect. All right, let's go ahead and do the last 2 problems. Right now, as long you got to be able to pick the right one. So we have opposite, so O, and it's 5. How long is the adjacent? So A, we don't know, so I'll call it X. I mean, you can call it A, you don't have to change it to an X. 39 degrees. So I have O and A. So will I use SOHCAH or TOA? Since I have O and A. I will use TOA because I have O and A. So I'll do tan of 39 equals, put O on the top. So in this case, 5 on the top, A on the bottom, X. Oh man, this is a two-step problem because X is on the bottom, but it's okay. Multiply by X, multiply by X. Don't use your calculator yet. Write X times tan of 39 equals 5 because the X's go blah, 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 blah. Divide by tan of 39 here. See ya. Divide by tan of 39 here. Don't X that one out. Let's see. So 5 divided by tan of 39. So X, bring it down, equals 6.1745 when you round. Okay, one more like this. We need the opposite side. Oh, it says I like how this is worded. It says the opposite side to a 65-degree angle is 12. They're trying to make you think that the opposite is 65. Wow. The opposite is 12. So we have opposite being 12. How long is the hypotenuse is what we don't know. Opposite is 12. Hypotenuse is I don't know. So I have O and H. So will I use so, ka, or toa? I have O and H, so I will use sine. My angle is 65. It tells me to put O on the top, 12. It tells me to put H on the bottom. This is going to be a two-step problem. Multiply by X, multiply by X. Do not use your calculator yet. Rewrite with the X's over here all gone. Divide by sine of 65 here. See ya. Divide by sine of 65 here. Now bring down that X, and I promise your calculator, we're all done after this. 12 divided by sine of 65. 13.2405. 13.2405. Awesome. And like, you shouldn't be getting like 800 here, right? Because like that's 12. You want to get something close to it. You shouldn't be like crazy amount off. If you get 10,000 for something that started as a 3, we're in trouble. Okay, so we did missing sides. This is missing angles. Hint, this time you are going to have 2 sides to be able to do this. I do this all the time with my physics kids. This is like step 1 of like a 15-step problem. Find out what sides you have. Use the correct choice, sine, cosine, tangent. So we may as well write so, ka, toa. And let's go ahead and try. Picture problem first. They want me to find the measure of A, B, and C. Ooh, let's do the easy one. Angle B is 90, right? All right, I don't care, guys. Let's pick A because A is the beginning of the alphabet. Let's start with angle A. That would make 12. You know what 24 is? 24 is the hypotenuse. Boom. Okay? Oh, you're going to have to use the inverse button on your calculator. I'll show you where that is. You use the second button before you type tan. Okay, sorry. Tan or sine or cosine. So that makes, since this is the flat side that touches A, so I'm going to solve for angle A right here. Okay? That makes it the adjacent. I'll write adjacent because there's a lot of A's going on. So if I have adjacent and hypotenuse, that's cosine, adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to do cosine of angle A. Look, I don't have a number, so I'm just going to do cosine of angle A equals my adjacent, 12, over my hypotenuse, 24. Now this is really weird. To unattach, see this angle A? It is like, it's attached to the cosine. It needs to get separated. You have to use a -1. It's called an inverse on your calculator. That switches. Look how that switches. It switches the 12 and the 24 with the angle A. And now it allows you to get your calculator to do second cosine 12 over 24 to get an angle of 60 degrees for A. So when you're solving for angles, you have to hit that second button. All right, so we have angle B, we have angle A. Angle C, I promise, I'm just going to do angle C over here. Angle C is not terrible to do. Remember, we have a right triangle, right? So all triangles are 180 degrees. So if I have 180 degrees and I take away my 90 from angle B and I take away my 60 from angle A, I end up with 30. So there was no like big math work to do. There's just some subtraction. So one of the angles is always going to be 90. One of the angles you have to use sine, cosine, or tangent. And one of the angles you'll do subtraction. Okay? Let's try these two problems. What's on the back of this? I already did that one. Okay. Two more. You guys can totally do this. So, now hear my daughter. Hypotenuse is H. Let's see if we can do this before she comes in. The opposite, I wonder if you can hear. The opposite is O. I think I'm going to have to go get my kid. I'm going to pause this and be back. Okay, guys, I have 4 minutes until my husband has a meeting. Totally do these problems in 4 minutes. So we have opposite and hypotenuse. So we are going to use sine. So we don't know the angle this time. Usually we know the angle. So what we'll call this angle, because it says what is an angle, we'll call one of the angle, we'll just say x. So I'm going to do opposite on the top, because that's what sine says. So opposite is 2. Do hypotenuse on the bottom, 5. To get this x away from this sine, I have to use the inverse. Like that. So you're going to switch 2 over 5 and x. Use your calculator. So one of the angles, we'll call it angle x, is 23.578. That's one of the angles. Another angle, let's just call the other angle y, has to be 90. One of the angles is always 90. So the third angle, call it angle z, is 180 for the whole triangle, minus 90, minus 23.5782. So use your calculator. That angle is 66.4218. There's all three angles. Let's see if we're going to use sine, cosine, or tangent in the next one. Maybe even pause the video and try it. O is opposite, so we have O. Adjacent is A. If I have O and A, that's tangent. Tan of my angle. I don't see any degrees. My angle is missing. Because I have this is opposite, this is adjacent. So angle of X is, we always put, like the thing TOA says, put O on the top. So opposite is 3.5 on the top. Adjacent is 4.8 on the bottom. To separate this X from this tangent, to switch these two here, you use the -1 thing, inverse. You put 3.5 over 4.8 where X used to be. Set it equal to X. Get your handy dandy. You have to hit second and tan to get that -1 to show up. 3.5 divided by 4.8. Boom. 36. I'm just going to do 36.1 to save some time with our rounding. And so I can say that's angle X. Angle Y, one of the angles always has to be 90. And the last angle is we'll call it Z, angle Z, is 180 minus 90 minus 36.1. 180 minus 90 minus 36.1. Answer 53.9. And if you add all of those angles up, you better get 180 because that's, oh, let me circle it. That's how much is in a triangle. So the main takeaway of today's lesson is know if you have opposite, adjacent, and hypotenuse. Make sure to use sine, cosine, and tangent. If you're solving for a missing angle, use the -1 thing. Remember when x is in the denominator in problems like this, it's a 2-stepper. When x is in the numerator, it's a 1-step. Have a great day.